The real problem is confusion. There's a moment every creator hits that nobody really talks about. It's not burnout, it's not lack of ideas, it's something much quieter and way more dangerous. It's confusion. Not just your confusion, but your audience's confusion. And here's the uncomfortable truth. When your audience feels confused, it's not random. It's a direct reflection of something deeper happening inside your content, your messaging, and even your own clarity. What looks like YouTube not pushing your videos is often something else entirely, something you actually have control over. Let's break this down in a way most people avoid. YouTube is not just a platform, it's a prediction machine. Its job is to understand what your video is, who it's for, and whether people will care enough to click, watch, and stay. But here's the catch. YouTube can only be as confident as the signals it receives, and those signals come directly from how clearly your content communicates. If your message is scattered, your hook is vague, or your audience doesn't instantly get it, YouTube doesn't get it either. And when YouTube doesn't understand your content, it hesitates. That hesitation is what we call low reach. Now think about your audience for a second. Imagine someone scrolling. They see your thumbnail. They read your title. In less than 2 seconds, their brain is asking one question. Is this for me? If the answer isn't an immediate yes, they keep scrolling. Not because your content is bad, but because it's unclear. Confusion kills curiosity, and curiosity is the currency of clicks. So when your audience doesn't click, YouTube reads that as disinterest. Not confusion, disinterest. That's where things start spiraling. Here's where it gets deeper. Let's say someone does click your video. Great. But now they're watching the first 10 to 20 seconds. If your intro doesn't clearly confirm what they're about to get, their brain goes into defense mode. Wait, is this what I thought it was? That microsecond of doubt leads to a drop-off. They leave. And now YouTube logs that as poor retention. Again, not confusion. It logs it as your content not being valuable enough. Do you see the pattern? Your audience feels confused, but YouTube interprets that confusion as failure. How YouTube interprets your content. And this is where most creators go wrong. They start blaming the algorithm. They say things like YouTube isn't pushing my content or the algorithm is broken. But what's really happening is misalignment. Your content is sending mixed signals. Your title says one thing, your thumbnail suggests another, and your video delivers something slightly different. That gap between expectation and delivery creates confusion. And confusion is the fastest way to lose trust, not just with your audience, but with YouTube's system itself. Let's talk about clarity for a second, because this is the real game changer. Clarity isn't just about being simple, it's about being specific. It's about making sure that anyone who lands on your content immediately understands 3 things. What this is about, who it's for, and why it matters. If any of those 3 are missing or blurry, you create friction. And friction slows everything down. Clicks, watch time, growth. YouTube doesn't reward friction. It rewards flow. And flow only happens when your message is crystal clear. Now, here's something most people won't tell you. Your confusion as a creator shows up before your audience ever clicks. If you're unsure about your niche, your message, or the value you're providing, it leaks into everything. Your titles become vague, your thumbnails become generic, your content becomes inconsistent. You might not notice it, but your audience feels it instantly. And when they feel it, they hesitate. That hesitation is all it takes for YouTube to start pulling back. Let's make this real. Think about 2 different video titles. One says, How I Changed My Life with YouTube. The other says, How I Gained My First 1,000 Subscribers in 30 Days Without Showing My Face. Which one feels clearer? Which one tells you exactly what you're getting? The second one removes confusion. It sets a clear expectation, and because of that, it gives both the viewer and YouTube confidence. Confidence leads to clicks. Clicks lead to data. Data leads to distribution. Why people don't click or stay. But clarity doesn't stop at the title. It has to carry through the entire experience. Your thumbnail should visually reinforce the same message. Your opening should confirm it. Your content should deliver on it. And your ending should wrap it up in a way that feels complete. When all of those pieces align, something powerful happens. Your audience relaxes. They stop questioning whether they made the right click. And when they relax, they watch longer. That's when YouTube starts paying attention. Here's another layer to this. Consistency builds trust, but clarity builds momentum. You can be consistent all day long, posting every week, every day even, but if your message is unclear, you're just consistently confusing people. And confusion doesn't compound, it stalls. On the other hand, when your content is clear, every video becomes a signal. Every click, every watch, Every interaction tells YouTube this is who this content is for. Over time, YouTube becomes more confident, and when YouTube becomes confident, it starts pushing your content harder. Now let's zoom out for a second. What we're really talking about here isn't just YouTube, it's communication. It's understanding that attention is earned through clarity, not complexity. A lot of creators think they need to be more creative, more unique, more different, but in reality, what they need is to be more understood. Because when people understand you, they trust you, and when they trust you, they stay. And when they stay, YouTube wins. So it rewards you. So if your channel feels stuck right now, if your views are inconsistent, if your growth feels unpredictable, don't start by looking at the algorithm. Start by looking at your clarity. Ask yourself, is my message obvious? Is my value clear? Does my content instantly tell the viewer why they should care? Because the truth is, YouTube uncertainty doesn't start with YouTube. It starts with how clearly or how unclearly you're communicating. Clarity builds trust and performance. Now let's go even deeper, because this is where most creators either unlock growth or stay stuck for months. YouTube doesn't just respond to what your content is. It responds to how predictable your audience behavior becomes over time. And predictability comes from clarity. When your audience clearly understands your content, they behave in patterns. They click faster. They watch longer. They come back. And those patterns are what YouTube uses to decide whether to scale your videos or suppress them. But when your audience is confused, their behavior becomes inconsistent. One video might get clicks, the next one doesn't. One video gets decent watch time, the next drops off fast. From your perspective, it feels random. From YouTube's perspective, it looks unreliable. And YouTube doesn't like unreliable signals. It wants confidence. It wants to know that when it shows your video to a certain type of viewer, that viewer will respond in a predictable way. If that doesn't happen, distribution slows down. This is why some creators feel like they are on a roller coaster. One video pops, the next 5 flop. It's not always about quality. It's about clarity, consistency. If your messaging shifts too much, your audience doesn't know what to expect anymore. And when expectations break, trust weakens. Once trust weakens, engagement drops. And once engagement drops, YouTube starts testing your content less aggressively. That's when people start saying things like "my channel died," when in reality, their clarity just broke. Let's talk about identity for a moment, because this is a hidden layer most people ignore. Your channel has an identity, whether you've defined it or not, and that identity is what your audience subconsciously attaches to. If your content is all over the place, your identity becomes blurry. And when your identity is blurry, your audience can't categorize you. They don't know when to click, why to click, or what they'll get. And when they don't know, they hesitate. That hesitation becomes your biggest growth bottleneck. Now here's something powerful. The clearer your identity, the less effort it takes for your audience to decide. Think about channels you personally watch. You don't analyze whether to click every time. You already know what you're going to get. That's clarity at work. That's what reduces friction. And the less friction your audience feels, the more momentum your channel builds. YouTube notices that momentum and starts amplifying it. Let's break this into something practical. Every video you make should answer one core question instantly. Who is this for right now? Not in a broad sense, but in a very specific, almost uncomfortable level of clarity. For example, instead of making a video for people who want to grow on YouTube, you make it for beginners trying to hit their first 100 subscribers using faceless content. Do you feel the difference? That level of clarity doesn't just attract attention, it attracts the right attention. Your channel identity matters. Because here's the truth. Not all views are equal. A confused viewer is a low-value viewer. They click, they leave, they don't return. But a clear, aligned viewer is high value. They click with intention. They watch with focus. They come back for more. YouTube is constantly measuring the difference between those two types of viewers, and the more high-value viewers you attract, the more YouTube trusts your content. This is where your packaging becomes critical. Your title and thumbnail are not just marketing tools, they are filtering systems. They decide who clicks and who doesn't. If your packaging is too broad, you attract the wrong audience. If it's too vague, you attract no one. But when it's precise, you attract the exact viewer your content is designed for, and when that happens, everything improves. Click-through rate increases, watch time increases, satisfaction increases. But let's address something uncomfortable. A lot of creators resist clarity because they think it limits them. They think being specific will reduce their reach. But the opposite is true. When you try to speak to everyone, you end up connecting with no one. When you speak directly to someone, You create depth. And depth is what drives engagement. Engagement is what drives growth. So clarity doesn't shrink your audience, it sharpens it. Now, let's talk about structure, because this is another place where confusion shows up. If your video feels scattered, your audience feels lost. And when they feel lost, they leave. Your content needs to guide the viewer step by step without them having to think too hard. Every transition should feel natural. Every point should build on the last. When your structure is clear, your audience stays oriented. And when they stay oriented, they stay engaged. Here's a simple way to think about it. Your video is a journey. Your viewer should always know where they are, where they're going, and why it matters. The moment they lose that sense of direction, even slightly, their attention starts to fade. And attention is fragile. Once it starts slipping, it's hard to recover. That's why clarity and structure is just as important as clarity in your message. Attracting the right audience. Another layer to this is repetition, but not the kind that feels boring. Strategic repetition reinforces clarity. When you restate your core idea in different ways throughout your video, you anchor it in your viewer's mind. This reduces confusion and increases retention. It also signals to YouTube that your content is cohesive and easy to follow. That cohesion becomes another positive signal in the system. Now, let's connect all of this back to YouTube uncertainty. When your audience is confused, their behavior becomes unpredictable. When their behavior is unpredictable, YouTube becomes uncertain. And when YouTube becomes uncertain, it limits distribution. But when your audience is clear, their behavior becomes consistent. When their behavior is consistent, YouTube gains confidence. And when YouTube gains confidence, it pushes your content further. So the real question isn't why YouTube is unpredictable. The real question is, where is the confusion in your content? Is it in your topic selection, your titles, your thumbnails, your intros, your structure? Somewhere in that chain, clarity is breaking. And wherever it breaks, your growth slows down. Once you start identifying and fixing those points of confusion, something shifts. Your content starts to feel tighter. Your audience starts responding more consistently, and YouTube starts recognizing those patterns. That's when things begin to compound. Not overnight, but steadily, predictably, and most importantly, sustainably. Because at the end of the day, growth on YouTube isn't about chasing the algorithm. It's about becoming so clear that the algorithm has no choice but to understand you. Fixing confusion in your content. Now here's where everything comes together, and this is the part most people overlook. Clarity is not a one-time fix. It's a discipline. It's something you refine with every single video you put out. Because the moment you stop being intentional about clarity, confusion slowly creeps back in. And it doesn't announce itself loudly. It shows up in small ways. Slightly weaker titles, slightly less focused intros, slightly broader topics. And over time, those small cracks start affecting your results. What separates creators who grow from those who stay stuck is not talent or luck. It's awareness. The ability to look at your content honestly and ask, where am I making this harder to understand than it needs to be? Because most of the time, the issue is not that your content isn't good, it's that your content is not obvious. And in a fast-moving platform like YouTube, obvious wins. Every single time. Let's talk about feedback, because this is where clarity gets tested in real time. Your analytics are not just numbers, they are signals of understanding or confusion. A low click-through rate usually means your idea or packaging is unclear. A sharp drop in the first 30 seconds means your intro didn't confirm expectations. Flat watch time means your structure didn't hold attention. When you start looking at your data through the lens of clarity, everything becomes easier to diagnose. And here's the shift that changes everything. Instead of asking, why is this video not performing, start asking, where might my audience be getting confused? That question puts you back in control. It moves you from blaming the platform to improving your communication. And the more you operate from that mindset, the faster you improve. Because now every video becomes a learning opportunity, not a mystery. Another thing you need to understand is that clarity builds authority. When your message is sharp and easy to follow, people assume you know what you're talking about. Even if you're new, even if your channel is small. Clarity creates perceived expertise, and perceived expertise builds trust quickly. That trust is what turns viewers into subscribers, and subscribers into returning viewers. Now, let's get practical again. Before you publish any video, run it through a simple clarity filter. If someone saw only your title and thumbnail, would they instantly know what they're getting? If they watched only the first 15 seconds, would they feel confident staying? If they skipped to the middle, would they still be able to follow what's happening? If the answer to any of those is no, you found a point of confusion that needs fixing. Using analytics to spot problems. And don't overcomplicate this process. Clarity often comes from removing, not adding. Removing extra words. Removing unnecessary ideas. Removing anything that distracts from your core message. The tighter your message, the stronger your signal. And the stronger your signal, the easier it is for both your audience and YouTube to understand you. Here's something else that matters. Your content should make your viewer feel smart, not overwhelmed. If they have to work too hard to follow you, they disengage. But when your content flows effortlessly, they feel like they're learning quickly. That feeling keeps them watching. It keeps them coming back. And it builds a positive association with your channel. Let's address the emotional side for a second because it's real. When your videos don't perform, it's easy to feel discouraged, to question yourself, to wonder if you're wasting your time. But most of the time, it's not a reflection of your potential. It's a reflection of your clarity. And clarity is something you can improve. That means your growth is not out of your hands. It's within your control. Now imagine what happens when you fully lock this in. Your titles become sharper, your thumbnails become more intentional, your intros become stronger, your content becomes easier to follow, your audience responds more consistently, and YouTube starts recognizing those patterns. That's when your channel stops feeling random and starts feeling predictable in the best way possible. Because predictability is power on this platform. When you know that if you execute clearly, your content will perform better. You stop guessing. You stop chasing trends blindly. You start building with intention. And that's when you move from being a creator who hopes for views to a creator who understands how to generate them. The core shift that changes everything. So if you take anything from this, let it be this. Audience confusion and YouTube uncertainty are not separate problems. They are the same problem showing up in different ways. Fix the confusion, and you reduce the uncertainty. Bring clarity to your content, and you bring confidence to the algorithm. And once that connection clicks for you, you stop seeing YouTube as unpredictable. You start seeing it as responsive. Responsive to clarity, responsive to alignment, responsive to how well you communicate your value. That's the shift. That's the leverage. And that's what turns your content into something YouTube can trust, and something your audience can't ignore.